This gentleman is one of the top prospects in all of mixed martial arts, made a big life change. So we wanted to talk to him all about it. Joining us now via the magic of Skype is the man himself, Mr. Compound Movements in the Gym. Look at him, Sage Northcutt. Hi, Sage.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
That's a very festive, is it a shirt or a rash guard you're wearing?
I think it's like a mix. It feels like a rash guard. It's like a t-shirt. It's a little tight.
Are you excited for the holidays? You must be. I can tell that you are.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm actually at my family's house right now. Got some lights in the back. Getting ready for Christmas. It's going to be fun.
All right, man, let's get right to it. Really appreciate your time. I know you got a busy schedule, so I don't want to waste any of your precious day here. So let's just jump into it. How long before you signed with one did you know you were going to sign with one?
Well, you know, the UFC had a 90-day period after my contract ended with the UFC in my last fight against Zach Otto. So before that 90 days was up, the Uriah Faber had actually asked the UFC to release me from my contract, so that way we could go out and talk to other organizations about what they had to offer, I guess, and where I'd be going. So once that 90 days was up, around that time, I went over to Singapore and saw One Championships, and then found out that I was going to be signing with them.
When you went over to Singapore, what were you expecting? Like, in your mind, what were you expecting, and how much did reality match that?
Well, you know, I heard it was the cleanest city ever and one of the coolest cities in the world. So I went there. It was definitely clean, super pretty, and it was like that movie Crazy Rich Asians. I saw like a few little pieces and bits in there. It had like the super awesome boat-looking thing on top of the building. It was nice.
Yeah. No, but I mean, in terms of one, I mean, I know you had seen their fights before, and they obviously just raised a ton of money. But in your mind, what were you expecting, and did it match the reality of ultimately what came to be?
You know, it was even better in person. It was super cool. I know there's been a lot of people that have said that haven't actually seen the event or been to the event yet. They were saying, "Hey, Sage, I don't know if you want to go to one because it may not be as big as what the UFC is." But over there at One Championships, when I was sitting there, they had 35 million viewers watching the fights right there just at that time. And then they had I think it's over 1 billion viewers total that watched the fights, over 1 billion, which is crazy. So it's definitely huge. And then I thought it was really cool how when you walk out, they had fireworks shooting up in the arena. And then when the people that had the title won the championship or they defended their title, they had like gold confetti that went everywhere. It was really cool.
What is it about one, and you're 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, to be 22 again, what a blessing that would be, right? But all right, you're 22 years old. What is it you want out of this next chapter in your career? And tell me why one is the place to do it.
Well, you know, what I think is cool is that not only do they have MMA, but they also have Muay Thai and they have kickboxing. So I want to be the champion in MMA. I want to be the champion in Muay Thai and kickboxing. I want to do it all. And I think that One Championships is really cool because I'm going to get to display my different skill sets in each of those. And I believe I can be the champion in each of those. So I think it's the perfect league.
Do you have like so sometimes I talk to fighters and they say, oh, I've got a 5-year plan. I've got a 10-year plan. Some even just say, I've got a 1-year plan. I've got a 2-year plan. What kind of plan do you have in terms of time?
You know, I got to ask my coaches and stuff because we just assigned the contract. So I'm going to ask them and I'll have to get back with you about that.
No, but I mean, like, in terms of forget the contract. I mean, like, your personal development as a fighter, as a, you know what I mean? Like, when you think about where you want to be, what time horizon are you thinking about? 2 years, 5 years, 10? Like, what are you thinking about?
Well, you know, I'm looking to be the champion as soon as possible. So I think I can go out there in kickboxing or Muay Thai, and I believe I could be the champion right now because I've grew up as a little kid doing full contact karate, kickboxing, and my movement and skill set is so different and explosive. I think I could do it. And then being the MMA champion here in the future very soon, I believe I could do that too.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up. Did you know that the Muay Thai and kickboxing thing was an option before you went to visit in Singapore?
Well, you know, I knew they had it, but I didn't know if it was an option that I was going to get to do. If I was only going to be able to do MMA or if I was going to have the chance and opportunity to be able to do all of it. So now I know it's an option. I'm definitely going to do that and take advantage of that. That's really cool.
Do you think you could spread yourself too thin? If I could just play devil's advocate, of course. Do you think you could spread yourself too thin? It's like so many different things. You wouldn't concentrate enough on maybe one of the right things. What would you say to that?
Well, I think it's just going to make me a better athlete all around. So I don't think I'm going to be able to spread myself too thin. I think if my kickboxing and Muay Thai gets better, then my MMA is going to be getting better too. Because obviously, I'm at one of the best gyms in the world at Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber and all the good guys over there. So I think my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu is always improving. So if I have the better stand-up also, it's just all around I'm going to be a better fighter. So I think it's going to be great.
Man, when you look back on the decision to start training there, and you think about how beneficial it's been, for, I'm not there. So, I've only interviewed you, I think maybe once or twice in my life, and I'm not at Team Alpha Male, but just from the outside, Sage, it seems like, I mean, what a great decision, right? Like when you think about how beneficial that's been, is there any way in your perspective to describe that?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's total about 1 year of training actually full time that I've ever trained at an actual training camp, which is cool, or a training gym. So I've improved so much. I've had 3 UFC fights at Team Alpha Male, and come up with my 4th fight when I have that one for one championships. And I think my skill set's just improving so much that another year down the line, another 6 months down the line, I'm going to be a whole lot better too. Because I'm just beginning. I'm 22. Really, I only got to start training, if you count it, at 21 years old for MMA. Otherwise, I'm just using the athletic ability I had, the explosiveness and the speed and cardio that I had just naturally. But now I'm getting to actually apply all that with skill.
Why do you think Team Alpha Male works so well for you? Because there's a lot of good teams, right? American Top Team's a good team, Jackson's and so forth. But what is it about Team Alpha Male that makes it the Cinderella slipper for you, let's say?
I think it's the environment. I think it's the personality and the environment and that Uriah Faber has and all the coaches. So, like, if you start at the top, Uriah Faber, who is his gym, everything flows down from there. So he's like me. He's super happy, energetic all the time, high energy. And then he's obviously one of the best of all time, UFC Hall of Famer, and he knows what it's like to work hard, and he has that skill set. So I think not only that, but and along with having great coaches, great training partners, but I think also just being able to have someone that's hands-on with me also definitely helps out.
When you think about your own progress, again, as a fighter, what do you think has made the biggest leap in improvement since you started training there? And by the way, that's not necessarily like jiu-jitsu or wrestling. It could be like a tactical approach, patience, could be a lot of different things.
I think it's really how to apply everything. So you can have all this knowledge. You can have the best wrestling, and you can have the best striking, wherever it might be, but how to apply it out there. You can be the best wrestler, but you may not be able to even land one takedown on someone in the MMA ring or the cage. So I think really how to apply the knowledge and then putting it all together. So that way I have the individual karate, I have the wrestling now, the jiu-jitsu now, how to piece it all together so that way I can choose what I want to do and optimize what I know best to be able to go out there and win the fights and win.
Speaking of that point karate, getting back to that a second, obviously that's your bread and butter, right? That's what you grew up doing. Has the MMA training, and here's how I would ask this. MMA training doesn't necessarily like interfere because you have to strike in MMA, but at the same time, MMA is not point karate, right? So do you feel like in order to get back into some kind of kickboxing, just strictly kickboxing, how would that affect your training? Would you go to Team Alpha Male to do that?
Yeah, I could do that, Team Alpha Male, for sure. Also, my good friend Raymond Daniels, for instance, he's the world kickboxing champion. World kickboxing champion. I've known him since I was a little kid. He grew up competing with me and my sister, and he's an incredible fighter. He grew up doing point fighting and everything that I did, and he goes out there and he's the kickboxing champion of the world. So his style applies. He could be a partner I could train with, and we've already trained with each other several times, and he's a good friend of mine.
How does your calendar work? Because you're from let me see if I remember this right. You're from Katy, Texas, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, Katy, Texas. That's right. You're from Katy, Texas, but you're training at Team Alpha Male. So how does your year split? You're at home until there's a training camp. Is that the idea?
No, you know what? I've actually been up in Sacramento, California, at Team Alpha Male full time. So I'm only just came home just for the holidays actually, and just for a couple days or a week or so, and then going back up to California again to train.
How are you adjusting to life in Sacramento?
It's actually super fun, which is cool. I think the weather's nice. There's a bunch of friends to hang out with. The teammates are cool. They're kind of like brothers almost. Everybody's super nice. And then I think the stuff to do is really fun. Like you go up to the mountains, you have Tahoe and different areas. You can go off-roading, go swimming. Super fun.
Amazing. I've not been up to Sacramento. I can't say a whole lot about it necessarily, but you are certainly giving me a good impression of it. Let me circle back real quickly. The Zach Otto fight, that was the last fight on your UFC deal, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you were heading into that, you knew you were fighting out your contract. I guess the question is, why fight out the contract? I mean, I understand it. It gives you leverage for the next stage. But I guess what I'm wondering is, heading into that Zach Otto fight, did you know you were going to move on? Or was there a chance you were saying, hey, we'll see what happens?
Well, you know what? I was going to see what happens. I'm always keeping your options open to see which direction to take. But I knew that when I had my Zach Otto fight, there'd be a 90-day period. I wasn't sure if the UFC was going to make me wait all 90 days to get back with me about re-signing, or if they were going to come to the offer and try to match something that some other league was offering. So really, I was waiting to see what was in store.
But what I'm wondering is, why not re-sign before? Was it clear that both parties wanted to split before the Zach Otto fight?
You know, before the fight, actually, the UFC had actually put me off a little bit. So meaning is, I'd been scheduled to fight, and then they tried to re-sign me, I guess, and we were negotiating with them, and they said, okay, so you're going to fight on this card, and then it got moved from one card to the next card, and then I was scheduled to fight on another card, and then it got moved from that card to the next card. Then I ended up finally fighting several months down the line. So the time span just kept getting put off, trying to renegotiate. So it was actually a good thing I went ahead and fought. Otherwise, who knows, I might not have fought for a year or so, which I didn't want to happen.
Yeah, of course, at this stage in your career. Now, again, you may end up back with the UFC. Who knows, where you're only 22 years old. You got the world is your oyster, Sage. Truly, I mean that. But let's say that you are done with the UFC. What was your favorite UFC moment that you had, at least in that first chapter? Highlight of that experience was what?
I think my favorite moment would be, well, I guess two moments. It would be probably coming into the UFC, being the youngest fighter coming into the UFC, and winning the most fights. Being undefeated 5-0 as a lightweight, and then my last fight, going out with a knockout and seeing how much I've improved from my first fight in the UFC and against Zach Otto.
Now you're also relentlessly positive, but let's flip the equation. What was the toughest challenge that maybe you had to entertain while being in the UFC?
You know, I think the toughest challenge would be having to fight for the UFC, being so sick, and then not having really any training experience. So just going there with my natural talent that I had and being in school at the same time, and then being extremely sick with strep throat when I should have had my tonsils taken out because I was so sick.
What fight was that again?
What was that?
What fight was that?
Oh, that was my fight against Brian. Well, actually, just coming in from the UFC, after my first fight in the UFC, I was super sick for all my fights up until about right after my fight against Mickey Gall. I was super sick on and off throughout several fights, unfortunately. But then I had my tonsils taken out, and now it's much better.
Yeah, I'm about to say you got to be feeling tremendous at this point, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I feel great. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, you're obviously a gentleman that works out in the gym. How do you keep the physique doing MMA training? Because I talk to a lot of MMA fighters, and they say, well, I have no ability to lift weights like a bodybuilder. So are you still in there slinging the weights around?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. I think that being strong and having strength does help out. So if you're one of the strongest guys pound for pound in your weight class or whatever division you're in, I think that definitely helps out. I mean, if you're in a shot and maybe don't have the right technique yet, but you're able to pick someone up above your head and send them on the ground, then that definitely helps out. You saw Rampage Jackson back then in the UFC when someone had him in position, he picked him up and slammed him, knocked him right out. Maybe it wasn't. People might say, "Well, that was dangerous. Maybe could have got triangle choked more or something." But brute strength does play a factor and can help out for sure.
All right. So between the bench, the squat, and the deadlift, what's your favorite lift and why?
Man, that's hard. I would say I'd probably have to say legs, so probably squats.
Why do you like the squats so much?
I like the squats because you need to squat so much weight, And in a normal gym you walk into, you get to see the bars start to bend, which is fun. And then I don't know, it's just super fun. It's an explosive thing. You really get to feel that translate big time when you're picking people up and you're throwing them around. Just having that power, squat power just feels good.
Man, you got to set up an Instagram channel of just you lifting, just that, nothing else.
Hey, I might have to do that. That'd be fun.
Can we get one front double buys before you go? Look at those things, man. That's incredible. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous physique. Hey, before you go, very quickly, when are you looking to make your debut? First quarter of 2019? What are you thinking about?
Yes, sir. Well, it looks like sometime around February or March. So I'm looking that there's a card in Singapore for One Championships, February 22nd. And we're going to talk with One Championships and see what card it's going to be on.
Amazing. Well, I got to tell you, it's a real treat to get to talk to you, Sage. I wish nothing but the best for you in your journey at One. Who knows where life's going to take you, but right now it takes you to One FC or One Championship, excuse me. And by the way, Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas. Look at that. Santa's most helpful elf right there.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
There he goes.
Merry Christmas too.
Thank you so much, Sage. Really appreciate it. There he goes. Sage Northcutt. There he goes. All right.